أسعد الله مساكم بكل خير متابعينا متابعين قناة البيداء أينما كنتم. اليوم عندي ضيف مختلف جدا، ضيف مميز مختلف، أحد عشاق السلطنة، إنسان رائع بكل ما تحمل هذه الكلمة من معنى. عندي ضيف، وضيف العزيز هو توني نيكلسون، أحد المقيمين في السلطنة من سنوات طويلة، وعنده تجربة رائعة جدا في التمثيل وفي القيادة وفي كل هذه التفاصيل. راح إن شاء الله نعرج على كل المراحل هذه في مسيرة توني إن شاء الله تعالى. مرحبا توني.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام.
خبورها. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. مرحبا توني، شرفتنا. أول شيء نشكرك على قبول الدعوة وعلى تشريفنا في هذا البرنامج. إن شاء الله تعالى راح نقضي وقت جميل مع بعض، بنعدي على بعض التفاصيل والمراحل المهمة في تجربتك، ابتداء من النشأة في السلطنة إلى الصين، إلى التمثيل، إلى الدراسات العليا والقيادة وكل هذه التفاصيل. توني، بإمكانك تخبرنا عن أول مراحل ونشأتك في السلطنة تحديدا.
So my name's Tony Nicholson. I'm from England, but first I want to say thank you to my brother Hassan, my Omani brother Hassan, for this wonderful opportunity. My mom is from England and my dad is from England, and my dad finished with the Royal Marines and he got a job posting in Oman. So when I was born in 1986, a few weeks later, I came straight to Oman. And we lived in a place called Al-Hail, next to Seeb, and that's where I grew up as a young boy from 1986 to 1999. So my first childhood memories are all in Oman. The people, the culture, the values.
كم سنة جلست في عمان تحديدا؟
I'd say 13 to 14 years. That's when I was in Oman. Grew up in Al-Hail, went to a school called Royal Flight School, then went to the British School in Muscat, and then when I was about 12, 13 years old, I went to a naval boarding school in England.
طيب ليش ما درست في المدارس الحكومية العمانية أو الدراسة العربية؟
You know, actually my first childhood memory was a lot of my friends in Al-Hail, and I remember Arabic, but I also just remember a lot of my Baluchi friends. And we used to say, Wabush.
Okay.
But actually, the answer to that is I wish now I'd learned Arabic. I wish now that if I could talk to myself back then, you should learn the language, because now I'm in my 30s and I spent 20 years of my life learning Chinese. So I speak Chinese, and then when I come to Oman, I'm speaking English. But everyone says, you look Omani. I said, no, I'm English. No, you're Omani. And then when they see me speak Chinese, they say, what's going on? So I wish I spoke Arabic.
إيش أهم ذكرياتك في السلطنة تحديدا؟
My best memories of the people. The people, the culture, always knowing that if I needed a home or a friend, I could always ask my Omani friends. They'd invite me in, sit down with them. This is not just in Muscat, you know, you go to someone's house and eat, but if I was in Jebel Akhtar, Wahiba Sands, Empty Quarter, Dukum, you know, if I needed help in the middle of nowhere, someone would stop their car and help me. No matter what, they'd help me. So the people and hospitality.
So you still have contact until now with your friends?
Yeah.
Or not?
I have contact with all my Omani friends from childhood. You know, for me to come back now to Oman, all of them asked me questions about, you know, from Al-Hail to all the things you did. You know, they want to know what is the secret? Like why did you come back? What is the connection? And I realized it's been an education. And to come back and share with people in Oman, especially all my friends that know me from Al-Hail, from Seeb, from Muscat, even Mazira, Sur, Salala.
ما زلت على تواصل معهم حتى الآن؟
Yeah, I'm still in contact. Before we had telephone, but now we have WhatsApp. And everyone has Snapchat and Instagram. So this world allows us to connect more than before.
Okay. يعني الثقافة العمانية أثرت فيه كثير.
Yeah, more than touched me. It's part of me, you know, not here. You know, too much we're in this part. The culture's here. What I mean by this is that when I'm talking to someone in Oman, they're really listening. They're not listening to take something, they're listening to give something. It's very different. Everyone's always taking. In Oman here, everyone's giving. You want some help? Let me help you. Let me connect you. So it's a part of me because actually wherever I've been in the world, everyone says, why you like to be so hospitable? Why do you want to welcome people? It's the Omani culture. It's the people.
قضيت في عمان تقريبا 13 سنة.
Yeah.
طيب بعدها انتقلت إلى الصين. إيش سبب انتقالك إلى الصين؟
I went to China honestly because I wanted to understand what it meant made in China. You know, every time you see anything it says made in China. And I wanted to understand what did this mean. And after school in England, military school, I went to America for 1 year. And there I studied Chinese language. And when I looked at a map of China, I saw, wow, this place is all the size of Europe, all the size of America and Middle East, same population size, and they speak one language. And in my mind, I said, that's opportunity. So the first reason was to go and to learn about the country, learn about the language. So that's why I chose China.
I think والدتك هي اللي راحت الصين تقريبا. أمك هي اللي راحت الصين.
My mom came maybe 12 years later to China because I've been in China almost 20 years.
أنت رحت الصين قبل والدتك.
Before my mother, yeah.
Okay.
I went by myself. So I was about 17. I went straight to China. And, everyone thought I was crazy. Even my friends from Al-Hale, they said, Inta Majnoon, you're crazy. You in China? I said, yeah. So I went there by myself, no foreigners, only me. It's called a Hanshan Normal University. So this is a university only for training teachers. And I was their first and only foreign student. They never saw a foreigner. So we lived in a small room, many people. And, I was the only foreigner there.
كيف كانت تجربتك في الصين؟
Amazing. What I learned in China is many people think the Chinese are in the Western world. I'm not talking about Middle East. I'm talking about the Western world, where I was studying at Cambridge and Harvard. The China is still developing, and that is the developed world. But actually, I saw, from my experience in China, in my humble opinion, that people were so developed there because they were so humble. That they had nothing, but they worked so hard that I realized, wow, China is the one that's developed. We're the ones still developing because they have the culture, the history, the language. And people there work very hard. Early morning, 7 o'clock, all the way till late night. And I realized, wow, if you work that hard and you take education that seriously, you can build great things from roads, telephones, infrastructure. So I realized that my experience in China, I was always growing every year because it's the mindset, right? And the strong community.
الصين وهل ما زالت محافظة على ثقافتها الصينية وحضارتها ولا تغيرت بالصناعات الحديثة اللي صارت؟
That's a very beautiful question. China, they always keep their culture. And they keep their culture through their language. The language is the first way. But they always have a learning mindset. They always want to learn. They always want to grow, but bring their culture with them. So what I really learned in China was culture is important. What does it mean, culture? You remember the teachers. They have Confucius, they have Lao Tzu, they have Mengzi, Kongzi, Guiguzi. These are very ancient Chinese texts that they still bring to present day, 5,000, 10,000 years old. So China's growing so fast. But when I live there, I see, wow, these people still keep their values, they still keep their culture, but they're growing in their mind. Okay, how can we grow? How can we keep our buildings, maintain our culture, make sure the students remember their heritage, speak the language? Yeah, it's very powerful.
إيش الصعوبات اللي واجهتها في الصين تحديدا من أول ما جيت وأصعب الأشياء اللي واجهتها مع الصينيين؟
The hardest thing was language, because I like to talk to people and I like to make friends. And everyone in China is welcoming, but I could only get to, hello, how are you, that's it. And I really wanted to go deeper and connect with people. And the first 6 to 8 years was very hard because I didn't have the deep understanding of the language. Once I understood the language, the connection was like that with people. And now I connect with everyone all over the world. But the language, learn the language, not just speaking, reading, writing, talking to you, talking in business, talking at university. Yeah, language was the hardest.
اللغة الصينية تقريبا أصعب لغة في العالم، صح ولا لا؟
It's the most difficult language in the world, yeah.
How many letters? كم حرف؟
So there are tens of thousands of letters, but for you to be able to speak and engage really well with someone, you need to learn about 5,000 characters. So each character is a picture, becomes, into like a letter, and then you put it together. Even the logic, the way the language is spoken is very different. So that was also very hard for me because I still had, I went to a military school, so I had this mindset, had something taught to me in America, what I learned here in Oman. So, I didn't know who I was. And then when I go to China and I learn everything different, that was tough. But over time, you adapt. You have to have this open mindset, curious.
ننتقل للتمثيل. acting.
Yeah, okay.
كيف حتى جات فكرة التمثيل وهل عندك رغبة التمثيل؟
I actually think the acting was something I did when I was a little boy. So I was always doing it, That's probably why when I say the word, I wish, I get it right. Because when I was a little boy, so my father and mother split up. My father went to Dubai, and my mother stayed with me in Oman. And so I started watching movies from a very young age. Actually, I remember Jean-Claude Van Damme, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone. So I saw these men were like tough, strong guys. So I think when I was a young boy, I started, copying them, mimicking them. But it's only after maybe 8 years in China, and I had a good coach, they said, what do you want to do? What's your dream? You can have dreams, but you cannot live in a dream world. So what things you want to do? So I said, okay, I like business, I like Chinese, I like education, I like acting. So then when I had all these pieces, I started putting it together. And then when I did my first movies in China, working with coaches, working with actors, I really love it. I think you need to do what you love. It's the most important thing.
ايش أول فيلم مثلت فيه؟
So the first movie I acted in was a film called SWAT. And that was a
English movie. Okay.
It's a Chinese movie, but the name is called SWAT. So I did 3 films, all in China. But before the movies, I was training. So I was learning in Hollywood at a studio called 8711. That's where Keanu Reeves is. And then I would come to China, and there was a studio called, Jackie Chan Stunts. So I felt, okay, if you want to get into acting, you have to be around successful people. Success leaves clues. So everyone pretty much knows Jackie Chan. People know Keanu Reeves. So I learned from them. And once I started learning and getting educated, first movie came was SWAT. So I arrived on the movie set, and people who are in this industry know the business. So when they say, can you do this, 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 this? Sure. Because I've been trained, I could do the stunts, do the acting, and they said, great, here's the opportunity. So when they gave me my first opportunity, still in my mind, I'm asking myself, success leaves clues. You have to find someone successful. And the first person I saw in this movie was a guy called T-Bag, Robert Nepper. Everyone knows him from Prison Break. So straight away, I got around him, was with him. He was the star of the show. And usually, proximity is power. When you get close to people of power, you tend to pick up things from them. You don't want to be like them, but you take some things from them that can make you better. And that is the first memory I had, is that I found the guy who was the most successful in the film, T-Bag, and everyone knows him from Prison Break. And I said, can I have some questions? I want to take notes. And that's my first memory from the movie. The other ones are small I did. One is called Battle Defense with T-Bag, but the real big one is called The Wandering Earth 2. So this is China's biggest sci-fi film of all time. The first one made $700 million, and then that was the biggest science fiction film people saw outside of China. I knew about this film in 2019, that it was a really big film. Anyone who was in this film, they'd just go to the top. And so I was in the second film, Wandering Earth 2, and that for me was like, it was a huge movie. It had total 10,000 people, and I was actually fighting the lead character called Wu Jing. Wu Jing is China's Bruce Lee. So you have Bruce Lee, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, now you have Wu Jing. So it was me and Wu Jing fighting in the movie.
You are the bad guy.
Yeah, I'm the bad guy, yeah. For some, you're a bad guy. For some, you're a good guy. Mm-hmm. But playing the bad guy was good for me because I learned from T-Bag. So I could call up T-Bag or Robert and say, hey, how do you do this? What's the best way to do it? He'd tell me, and then I could play it. And some people on the movie set say, wow, look at this guy. How did he do that? Because I had friends to help me, guide me. But if I had no training and no education, and you put me in this movie, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't have the confidence. No leadership. Everything is leadership. You have to lead yourself before others. So because I got educated, when this movie came, I knew, I said, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be here. We shot for several months, and that was really tough because we're on wires. So we're hanging from the ceiling. We start at 8 o'clock in the morning, do makeup, dress, you get your outfit you're wearing, you prepare the script, you work with the directors, and then you shoot all the way sometimes to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, go back to your hotel, shower, sleep, get up, and go again. It's like a job, full-time job. And, there's no rest. And you have a big responsibility because everyone's looking at you. So we're here in a room, you have a few people who have 1, 2, 3, but on the movie set, you have me and the actors doing the scene, and you have hundreds of people. And if you make a mistake, do it again. So you have to be responsible with all the people around you. So that's when I realized that, wow, this is a big budget movie. So many people, it's not you, by the way. No man is an eye. You can't do it alone. You have to do it with a team. It was a special experience because I also knew that the first movie was a big deal. So we had to live up to this expectation. And I spent months preparing for it. And then when the movie came out, it was a top movie in China. So that's when I realized, wow, how did I go from here to here? Education, leadership.
طيب كم كان دخل الفيلم هذا الصيني الأخير؟ In box office.
The total combined is $1.3 billion.
Oh. It's history.
Biggest out of China. And for me, it was... So what made it different for me is that I was studying at Cambridge and Harvard. So when the movie came out, I did the opening in Leicester Square in London. It's famous in London for open movies. But I did something different, was to take the movie to the University of Cambridge and show it to all my classmates, PhD students. I wanted to have an educator perspective on this film. What do you see? Because everyone sees things differently. And one thing I've learned in Omani culture and Chinese culture is it's very important to see how do you see it, not how I see it. You gotta see how all different people see it. So I brought this movie to the University of Cambridge to get people's feedback. You need feedback. If you want to improve, you've got to have feedback. No feedback, you just stay fixed. And if you want to grow, it's feedback. So I took the movie and showed it to everyone in Cambridge. And I remember my classmates said, you speak Chinese in the movie and this? And then they all started saying, wow. Most people see the big movie you did, but they never see all the steps. For me, it's like 10 years.
كيف وفقت بين الدراسة وبين التمثيل وبين العمل؟
That's a great question. So there's a difference between, doing and accomplishing, right? Activity and accomplishing. Some people are always doing, but achieving nothing, right? So you need to say, okay, what are the things I want to achieve? What are the goals? What do I want to accomplish? Not things I want to do. Everyone is always doing. So first of all, I set myself some very clear results, some vision that I want for myself. Acting, health, business, education. These are 4 things. And then I made a plan for each one of these, and then I kept to it every day. One small step every day for each one. Okay, what's what I could do for my business? What can I do for acting? What can I do for my health? And what can I do for my education? And the thing is, in 1 year, everyone's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. It's the wrong way to think. You overestimate 1 year, but you underestimate a decade. A decade is planning. People say, yeah, but the plan fails. Doesn't matter. Your plan may not work, but planning is everything. So I actually had a plan a long time ago, and this came through a great coach. So I had a guy called Tony Robbins I used to follow, and he set some very clear goals. Okay, what do you want to achieve? I want to achieve this, 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 and this. Acting, business, health, education. Good. Where do I want to go? I want to go to Cambridge and Harvard. Okay, what are the steps I need to do for that? What do I need to do for my business? And then step by step, when you achieve it, everyone's like, oh my gosh, how do you do everything? But I had a plan, and I had some good mentors to take me there, which is why one of the things that happened to me in Oman is I saw Vision 2040. And already, I went, my gosh, the vision I had for myself to take me here was an educational journey. Then I thought about, wow, look at Oman's vision. I understand it, how important it is. But coming from here to here, this gap is education. is a plan. Otherwise, everyone thinks you're doing everything. You need to be very clear about what you want. No clarity, no power.
قبل ما ننتقل من موضوع الأفلام إلى موضوع القيادة والدراسة، أريدك تقريبا مجموعة الأفلام اللي مثلت فيها كم؟
3 movies.
هل في أفلام أمريكية ولا مش أمريكية؟
No American movies because at the time I was focused in China.
Okay.
So later on I have movies to do in America or Oman or other countries. But I was very focused on getting on big budget. So the first movie is $2 million, $20 million, and $200 million. Budget, not my salary. Budget. Because the bigger you are in movies, you get around new people. Change your mindset.
بعد نجاح فيلمك الصيني الأخير اللي هو عد حاجز $1,200 مليون تقريبا، ما جاتك عروض من أمريكا؟
I got loads of offers in China, but small.
Okay.
But I want to focus on big. So big is what? Big is Fast and the Furious, big is Avatar.
طيب، بالنسبة للصين، ويزعجك إن الناس تقارنك بفان ديزل؟
Yeah, people ask me.
Compare between you and Van Diesel.
Yeah, actually, people say you're Vin Diesel or The Rock, and I always tell them I'm Tony, and then they'll say, maybe I'm here at Oman, they'll say same design, and I'll say no, different. Vin Diesel is Vin Diesel, The Rock is what? The Rock, and I'm me, totally different.
أوكي. قبل الانتقال لموضوع ثاني، تجربة والدتك في الصين لما جت الصين بعد ما سبقت للصين.
My mom is always a very open-minded person, a very curious person. So when you're open and curious, many things come to you. And especially, she loves education. And now my mother's been working in one school in China. She is the principal, and she loves it because the students love educating. My mom loves to educate. She's open to many different cultures. Like the first time when she came to Oman, right, experiencing something new, different from England, different mindset.
So, أنت بريطاني ولكن لغتك ما شاء الله لغتك كأنك أمريكي مش كأنك بريطاني.
Well, it depends. I mean, the more you're in England, the more you're in Cambridge, it's different. But then if I go to America, Harvard, and you go to Boston or Harvard, you got to be serious. It's different. Otherwise, people don't understand you. So I adapt. You have to adapt. So when I come to go to England, it's different. When I'm in Boston, it's different. In Oman, it's different.
لازم تتعلم العربي.
Actually, yeah, it's a great challenge for me is that next time we do this, we'll do it in Arabic.
Okay.
Next time.
خبرنا عن عودتك لعمان. أنت الحين رجعت لعمان، عندك خطط في عمان، خذيت منزل في عمان واستقريت في عمان. فممكن تكلمنا عن هذا الموضوع أكثر.
So in my heart, Oman is home. And I believe the heart is very important in anything you do because your values, so my value, highest value is love, that comes from the heart. So go to where your heart feels comfortable and the mindset. So now I've come back to Oman, صلالة, and after traveling the world, different cultures, being educated, when I come back here, first it's the people. Everyone welcomes me, everyone. Tolerance, humility, humble, hospitable. That is a great starting point for any idea. It's the people, it's the values. So I see a land of great opportunity. Great leadership, great people, and whatever you start here, in my humble opinion, could be great. Everything great starts from a small seed, and it becomes big. That's what I've learned in China. But it always starts with the people. So when I look around Salala, even Muscat, I'm like, wow, I'm not talking about shopping malls. I'm talking about jobs for people, infrastructure, education, health. I see so much opportunity having seen it around the world. And I'm older now. So I say, how can I contribute? And when I share my ideas with people here in Oman, they love it. Even an idea about a movie. Maybe 20 years ago, if I discussed this idea in Muscat, people would say, let's see. Now, everyone says, wow, interested. Just like our conversation, you're interested. And I always believe that if you're interested, you can be inspired. 2 types of people, inspired, uninspired. If you're inspired, you're interested. If you're interested, the idea grows into something very special. Just like when I saw you, I always wanted to see Jabali people, the mountain people. And we did a very small thing. Yeah. But when you shared your stories and showed your pictures through a movie, I have not seen it before, but you showed it to me in a picture in a movie, and I said, wow, the world is different. Everyone is here on the world.
Yeah, that's it.
This. this is a very powerful tool, but it can also be very dangerous. So how do you change it? Education. Everyone said, what means education? You have to be an example. Some people are a warning. Smoking, drugs, alcohol is bad. But if you're educated, helping people, doing good in the community, coming up with great ideas, that's an example. So it's better to be an example rather than a warning. And in today's world, I'm here in Oman, it's like everyone wants an example. You ask me, what do you mean? I drove down from Dubai through Soha, Jabal Akhtar, Muscat, Sur, Ras Al Jins, Mazira, Dukum, Hassak, Salala. I'm a different person, mindset, but I can see everyone wants something. They want inspiration. They want to find an example. And then I realized in my heart, this is very important, because most people that come to Oman come for tourism. But if you ask me all these places, I'm Omani, people say, I've never been to those places. You've been to Dukum? I said, yeah, I've been to them. How, you take a plane? No, I drive. Talk with the people, speak with the people. And then I realized people need examples, not warnings. They need examples.
ليش أعطاتك عمان وإيش اللي يمكن تعطي عمان؟
I would say Oman gave me a home. It gave me stability. And what I've learned in Oman is the things you learn and the things that you live outside, you should come back and give it to people. So what can I give is all the learnings I've had from China, from Cambridge, from Harvard. You know, that is not mine. That's what I've learned, and to give it. And I've been doing that here, and I realize how happy it makes people. They say, you know, you gave me this one idea, it changed everything. So that's what I want to give to Oman, because in my life, I think having some stability, and you ask me what means stability. Friends, family, love, children. It's a great place for it. But you have to give. You can't take. And giving is from the heart. Money is not from the heart. People say, yeah, the money, money, money. But when you're at a business school at Harvard or Cambridge, those are serious people. Those are people that can take nothing and turn it into a billion-dollar company. Being around someone like Tim Cook, Apple is the largest company in the world, $3 trillion. Because of money, that's why that company is like that. Some people say, yeah, they make a great phone. What I experienced is they have great leadership, and they have a great culture, and they don't lose their culture. And because of that, everyone knows them. And then I thought, you see, when I come to Oman, they keep their culture. It's the people. I could be in Muscat, or I could be in Dukum, or I could be in Hassak, or I could be in Taka. Culture is the same. I could be up in the mountains with the Jabali people. Culture is the same. Even if I gave you so much money, it wouldn't change. Keep your culture, and I think that's very important.
توني بالنسبة لعمان الحين حاليا أنت ما شاء الله استقريت وأتمنى لك إقامة طيبة إن شاء الله في عمان. إيش اللي الخطط الجاية في عمان؟
Because I'm inspired, I've started a new company here with an Omani partner, and it's based around leadership. Everything's leadership. You can't lead anyone else until you first lead yourself. And leading yourself is based on values. What do you value? And what I found in my Omani partner are all the values that define Oman. Tolerance, humility, humbleness, being hospitable. And most important, love. And very intelligent. Driven by your heart, using your head. We started a business here to help people with leadership. And it came from the idea of all the things I've achieved are because I had a vision. They say in many texts, if you don't have a vision, you perish. So you have to have a vision. So I started looking at Oman and said, wow, Vision 2040. What are the pillars of Vision 2040? Each one of those pillars, for example, if a company wants to be with that vision, the company's here and the vision, and they want to bring it together, this gap in the middle is leadership. Leadership is what? Teaching people principles, how to lead yourself before leading others, to be an example, not a warning. And once you start helping people through education, it changes everything. So we started this here in صلالة with Vodafone, with the Chamber of Commerce, with the Civil Aviation Authority, airports, Oman airports. You know, this is very important because, you know, leadership brings everything together. Airports connect people, roads connect people, and all of that is leadership. So we started this business, And this is something I'm very passionate about. It's everything we talk about at Harvard and Cambridge, that it's not about money. It's about people. Everything's about people. People need jobs. People need a mindset. And that is an education piece. So with my partner, he gave me this ring. I said, let's do something to help people. And let's start small. Big trees start from a small seed. So we came up with this idea, and it's already working. And then I really felt in my heart, this is the right direction. You don't know where you'll be in 10, 20 years, but if you have a vision and you have great values and leadership, it will take you there because you are certain, you are very clear, and if you have certainty and clarity, you have freedom. And freedom is on the inside. This you will not find on the outside. But how much money you pay someone, that won't get you freedom. It starts here. It's an education piece. So I'll give people an example because your audience will watch this and they'll say, give me an example of leadership. The audience will say, the people watching this now will look and say, okay, you're talking all this, Tony, but how can you help me? For example, everything starts with a question. You have to ask yourself a better question. Ask a great question, you get a great answer. But some people ask a bad question, they get a bad answer. So when I started as a coach, the one I always start with is people would come to me and say, why am I so fat? That's a bad question. All the answers for this will be not very good. But if you ask the question, how can I get fit, healthy, and strong, and powerful, and live a great life? That's a great question. And then you can create great answers. That, from this question to getting those answers, in between is leadership. And leadership is through coaching. Leadership is through sponsorship. Leadership is through mentoring. So that is an example. Ask a great question, get a great answer. The second piece is there's a book called The Four Agreements, and this is just an example of the leadership programs we do. You've always got to keep your word. You've got to make no assumptions. Don't take anything personally, and always do your best. Keep your word. Don't take it personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. If you do those as inside yourself, everything starts to work well. You don't have to be going to Cambridge, going to Harvard to do that. But most people do the opposite. They don't keep their word. They make so many assumptions. They take it personally, and they don't do the best. And they say, why do I have so many problems? So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about with leadership in our company. And I do this at the very bottom with people that I meet on the street, anyone, a guy I'm taking karak with, someone I'm having a shawarma with, because there's a lot at the top. But the biggest opportunity is taking people that are at the bottom and bringing them up. And bringing people up is education. You don't need to go to the best places. This device here, you could be educated right here. But unfortunately, we're letting this device educate us. And that's leadership.
بالنسبة لدراستك، أريد تخبرنا عن دراستك.
A few months ago, I graduated from the University of Cambridge with my executive MBA, and now I'm in the process of applying for my doctorate of business administration, because everything I've learned through education has been very impactful. Movies, business, personal life, all started with education. So now I'm looking to go further with the doctorate.
جلسنا يمكن تقريبا 3 أيام الحين جلسنا مع بعض وتذكر لي مشروع فيلم راح تسويه في عمان تحديدا. عجبتك طبيعة البلد والثقافة، أغراتك أنك تسوي فيلم فيها، فيمكن تكلمنا عن هذا الموضوع.
So when I was filming a film in China, I made friends with Robert Nepper, and in 2019 we were in a very small province in China, and by coincidence, by serendipity, we bumped into Al-Baida in 2018 actually. And from that time, Robert Nepper, Teabag, and I had been working on a script, developing a film. Here in Oman he came to Oman twice, and from that small idea, we've birthed a project of a film franchise. And it's both Robert and I to film it here in Oman, 3 movies, a bit like Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings made New Zealand very famous, right? Because it was able to take all the beautiful landscapes with a beautiful story and show it to the world. And Robert and I came up with the idea of creating a love letter to Oman, to show the history, the culture, and the heritage. So we're working on that film project now. Maybe it's on Netflix, maybe it's for Amazon Prime. But the most important is to tell the story of the culture and the heritage in Oman. And Hassan, in fact, you inspired me because, you know, it was the first time I'd been able to see some of Jabali culture through a small film you showed me. And then I realized, wow, you see how film has the power to tell real stories. And we're now working on that project here in Oman. So maybe you and I might be in a film together here, showcasing the beauty, the culture, the heritage of Oman to the world. And within that film, it's not just telling a beautiful story, but talking about leadership. The things you see in Vision 2040, but telling it through a story. Because that's how everyone learns. Education before universities was telling stories. In tribes, you tell stories and people learn through those stories. And now with devices, with movies, cinemas, our vision is to take the vision of what we see in 2040, what we saw when we first met Said Badar in China, and put it all together into a beautiful love letter for Oman. So that's what we're working on now. Actually, I believe maybe you and I might do something. And this is our project.
إن شاء الله بإذن الله.
إن شاء الله.
أثناء حديثا قبل المقابلة ذكرت لي من ضمن الكلام نيجيريا، فما أعرف إيش العلاقة في نيجيريا.
I believe there's a big difference between knowing the path and walking the path. You could know something, but if you haven't walked and lived it, you don't really understand it. So you have to know it and walk the path. As part of researching for my applying for a doctorate degree, I found out that one of the people who wants to be president of Nigeria did the same doctorate degree. So rather than looking online and talking to people, I said, I'm going to go to Nigeria. So I arrived in Nigeria my first time, and I have an English accent, so when I started speaking to people, they didn't understand. And some people were looking at me different. But then I said, okay, maybe I should put some of my acting skills together. And once I started doing that, I started to make friends with many people, because you need to consider your position. And by the way, it was doing it friendly, right? Trying to connect with people. How can I connect? You need to consider. You need to do your part from your heart. Once I did this, started making friends, dancing. Second day in Nigeria, my friend said, how come you got so many friends? I said, well, I listen to the music, dancing, trying my best. I'm not saying I know everything, but I'm trying. And then when people see that, I started to connect. And that is, you take the acting, all the things you learn, and bring it together. So that's my story in Nigeria.
شكرا على تواجدك، شكرا على مشاركتنا كل هذه
My
اللحظات.
pleasure. I just want to say thank you so much for having me, Hassan. I really believe in what you're doing, and I really wish the best for you for your podcast, because you are sharing stories with people around the world. And when I saw you and your channel, it was what really came to me was you're very authentic. And I said to my friend who gave me this ring, I said, that's a guy we need to sit with, because he's real. And I believe real attracts real, and it's a great way to grow in life. So thank you, brother. I respect your loyalty. I respect you. And most importantly, you live your value of love.
شكرا لك. وصلنا للختام متابعينا الكرام في هذا اللقاء مع توني نيكلسون، شاركنا بهذه اللحظات الجميلة من تجربته في عمان وفي الصين وفي التمثيل، ورجع إلى عمان مرة ثانية. أتمنى له التوفيق، وإن شاء الله نشوف مشروع فيلم قوي هنا في سلطنة عمان، وكذلك أتمنى له التوفيق في مشاريعه المستقبلية اللي هي في القيادة والتدريب. شكرا لكم، وفي أمان الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. في أمان الله.